Tom Cruise has a surface persona that is, over the top handshakes and huggies and wow and enthusiasm and this and that. And behind the scenes is a much, much less endearing character.
He's like one of the most powerful people in Scientology. He's David Miscavige's best friend, second or first most powerful person in Scientology, depending on your perspective.
He was at Operating Thetan 7 at least a couple of decades ago. So we're going to presume he's at 8 now, which is the highest, isn't it?
Yes. The staff were all required to call him Sir or Mr. Cruise.
Tom Cruise is like, I'm the most Scientologist on the planet. At one point they had to tell him no because he tried to quit acting and join the Sea organization. He was going to join the Sea Org because he got so on purpose. And that's it. I'm quitting acting. And, he had to be talked off a ledge to not quit acting. This is right after The Last Samurai came out. And we were like, Tom, we need you to stay out there and just keep making movies because that's how you clear the planet, buddy. You're Tom Cruise. And then they got the Freedom Medal. You're the most important person on planet Earth. And that's why he runs around thinking he's the most important person on I'm sorry, planet Earth, on behalf of Scientology, for Tom Cruise's erratic behavior, because that's what Scientology did.
Tom Cruise is a different level. If even amongst Scientologists, the youth, the Energizer Bunny, and also the psychopathy. He's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So he's he's not very bright, dude. He's very childlike, which is part of the cult indoctrination. And since he's been so surrounded by David Miscavige in that environment, he's super age regressed. He's super childlike. Plus, he's only been a movie star his whole life. That can put you into a whole another bubble world. So you add his possible psychopathy, Scientology, and he's a movie star where nobody calls him out. That guy is so far removed from anything that we would call the real world. That guy is different in a bad way, not in a good way.
I won't diagnose Tom Cruise, but I will say that he is not a good person. Cruise is actually much more fanatical than Travolta. And he's also extremely, extremely narcissistic. The sort of example that I use to sort of demonstrate where Tom Cruise's head is at is his niece kissed a boy in his house without Tom Cruise's permission, right? She was being a teenage girl and she kissed this boy, and because Cruise said don't do that, and she did. And he, as a result of that, the consequence was she was kicked out of the family for 2 years while she made up the damage that she had done to Tom Cruise.
Wow.
Over those 2 years, after which she had to beg in writing to him with a very long essay breaking down all of the penitent, sort of work she had done to make up the damage for having violated the rules and gone so out ethics and been so immoral. And basically, like I said, had to beg Tom Cruise to be allowed back into the family so she could go back to seeing her own parents. That's Tom Cruise.
I said, what's going through Tom Cruise's head? And John said, not very much.
That's right. That's exactly right. He doesn't think a lot. He's one of these powerhouses who has this bottomless well of energy. And when he is focused or directed on a mission or a task, he's the Energizer Bunny. He just goes. And he's also best friends with David Miscavige, the head of Scientology. David Miscavige was Tom Cruise's best man. So they are bosom buddies. And if you know anything about David Miscavige, and it's not hard to find out, he's a sociopath and he beats people and he enjoys it.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise is on that wavelength. It's not like he doesn't know what David Miscavige gets up to. He thinks it's justified. He thinks David Miscavige is right for having to abuse and beat on people because that's what they need in order to get their heads out of their asses so that they do what they're supposed to do and get their jobs done. This is the attitude that top Scientology management has about its members. And Tom Cruise is 100% behind that kind of abusive treatment. People have no idea. The guy has such good looks and such a winning smile that everybody just falls to pieces over him. He's a monster. And we really need to be clear about that. Tom Cruise is a monster.
He's the main guy, like right up with Miscavige, right?
We all know there's different treatment for celebrities. The amount of power they receive from this church is like nothing in Hollywood. There is no reason for them to leave this environment.
Right, so it's super beneficial for them to be attached to it.
Correct.
Like he has employees, they work for him, all these people take care of his every need.
Yes, and there's policy on how to talk to somebody. You don't talk back, like, ever. You don't step out of line, you don't give an opinion, you don't make a face, you don't make a gesture, you don't sigh. If you step out of line in any way, you are dealt with by the church
so
at
Tom
your expense.
Essentially has servants.
Correct.
How many people?
A lot. But when you believe, as a Scientologist, you are working for somebody who single-handedly is saving the planet, and you deserve that kind of punishment, that's something different. It's an abuse that is not justified, but it is justified because you believe that you are single-handedly saving the planet.
I mean, his personal staff were all Scientologists, probably still are, and were receiving regular interrogations to see what they were up to.
You know, they were made to do things like make a path of flowers for him and Nicole to wake up and walk down, and it was the wrong flowers, so they had to be up all night to do it. And then it's just, you know, to what extent is Tom Cruise aware that people are working like slaves around the clock, not sleeping, and all these? To what extent is he aware of the abuses that go on within Scientology?
I know that David Miscavige told Tom Cruise he was abusing staff. So I have no reason to believe he doesn't know. Members of the Sea organization were providing free labor to Tom Cruise. Like there was extensive renovations done at his hangar, the sound system put in at his house. I mean, John Brousseau had extensive photos of all the free labor that was provided to Tom Cruise, courtesy of the Sea organization, whose members are paid $46 a week.
I had to hire an executive housekeeper, a maid,
And they had to be Scientologists.
They all had to be Scientologists.
Why?
Because they wanted him to only be in Scientology, 100%. And when I went to the house, there were people cleaning his house, folding his laundry, doing things for Tom personally, Sea Org members. During that time, that's when I saw the abuses going on with David Miscavige. We were in meetings with him very often. And he's a very angry man. If you said something that didn't please him, he would go off on you. If you're a man, he would likely hit you, punch you, knock you down on the, choke you. I witnessed that at least on a dozen occasions.
I wish that he would be more honest.
Do you think he knows all this stuff?
Yes, I do. He is in some ways the second man of Scientology after David Miscavige.
And yes, maybe they've gone too far in certain areas. Maybe there are too many kids on Ritalin. Maybe electric shock.
Too many kids on Ritalin, Matt.
I'm just saying, but aren't there examples where it works?
Matt, you're glib. You don't even know what Ritalin is. To talk about it in a way of saying, well, isn't it okay, and being reasonable about it when you don't know, and I do.
That is quintessential Scientology.
Absolutely.
Right?
That little bit tells you everything you need to know about the mindset of a Scientologist. It doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about their experience. Tom Cruise is saying, I know, you don't.
There's a brainwashing element.
The defining thing is they are absolutely convinced that they're right. Anybody that says they're not is uninformed, ignorant, stupid, has it in for them, glib, whatever the disparaging term.
Tom is very well aware of what is Scientology, truthfully. He is very aware that it's an organization that is defrauding people out of their lives, but in his heart, I believe he believes it.
David Miscavige has decided the top priority for Scientology is to make sure its most popular person is happy and well-serviced at all times. But I would almost think of Tom Cruise's house as a Scientology premises, since everyone who works there is essentially a Scientology staff member. Everyone there has a dual role of reporting on the goings-on of the household to someone in Scientology. Or maybe Tom has just such a warped opinion of what normal is that he doesn't realize how close his normal is to devastation.
Nazanin Boniadi, the woman who was chosen for him before Katie, she was forced to clean bathrooms with a toothbrush because she said congratulations to him.
She said, very well done. That's a Scientology phrase. You wouldn't say it to a superior. Very well done. It's like, who are you to tell me it's very well done? Tom Cruise and David Miscavige are so freaking sensitive to any slightest hint of disrespect. I can see them going, very well done. She doesn't understand her place. Tom Cruise has over the years become more and more and more like David Miscavige. These are two little peas in a very little pod.
I flew over with him on a private jet with David. David Miscavige has this incredibly powerful, it's like a reality distortion machine. And I think if that thing just got shut off, that Tom Cruise would probably call his daughter.
It's almost like David Miscavige is the puppet master for Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I would say so. I instantly went back to a picture of the two of them racing on their motorcycles at Gold, like a couple of kids, like brothers that were separated at birth. So,
and Tom has a laser focus, if you're going to do this, we have to do this the best that's ever been done. They need to write about this in the history books, this counseling that we're going to do right here today. And then because I fell asleep, that was I got in a lot of trouble for that. So my boss had to go on the night shift, and then I had to work during the day and get 8 hours of sleep every night so that I wouldn't be tired and fall asleep while Tom Cruise was out at me. Because you can say you're not tired, you can say that you've eaten enough and all that, but they do this test and your body lets this meter know. And I wasn't ready. And Tom Cruise is like, did you take your vitamins today? And I'm like, dude, did I take my vitamins today? I haven't taken vitamins yet, this life. He's like, you haven't ever taken vitamins? And then he said, oh, there's a trick we can do to get you good for the meter. And I was like, what? How does this guy know a trick? He's like a newbie. He's like, you got to eat bee pollen. And I'm like, bee pollen? Anyway, he took me on his motorcycle to the canteen we had on the property. And I was told nobody can know about this guy being your auditor. So we're going down to this canteen that's in the dining hall. And I'm on the back of Tom Cruise's motorcycle, and we're driving through all these people to go to the dining hall, to walk into the canteen that has 50 people in it. And we're going to go in there and get some bee pollen. This is day 2 of getting audited by Tom Cruise. And I'm just like,
when I was doing handlings with his personal staff, they recounted instances where they had witnessed Tom Cruise throw one of his staff up against a refrigerator and be verbally and physically abusive. The staff members were stating this as kind of a confession. This is what we saw and we should have done something about it. So I have no reason to question that they were being honest.
Wow. That's the second source, the second time or third maybe, that I've heard that he was physically violent. There was a recording leaked of him screaming at everyone. Was that sort of Scientology, the rhythm? Was there something about it that he just kept going and going at these people?
Oh, completely. That whole recording was extremely reminiscent of how David Miscavige talks to the executives in Scientology. Wow. This is how Tom Cruise deals with situations in life. In terms of money provided to them, he's definitely number one.
Are we talking millions?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Probably billions by now.
There used to be a whole list of producers working on Mission Impossible that you can find on Wikipedia. And over the years, that's gone down every year. And now it's just Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie. And the budget has gone up tenfold. And it's just where's the money going?
David Miscavige announced to all the Scientology executives that Tom Cruise had reconfigured his compensation package so that he would get he would just get a percentage on the back end rather than being paid for his role as an actor. And David Miscavige, in his own words, said Tom Cruise is putting that to Scientology's war chest, quote unquote. So I have no reason to doubt that Tom Cruise has been funding Scientology almost exclusively. Tom Cruise is propping it up for sure, no doubt about it.